Hello everyone, how are we? I thought I'd take us to the Psalms just now in this episode, and the Psalms are just lovely reading. And the person who wrote most of the Psalms, David, he really takes us through a journey. So when we read the Psalms, we go through sort of his highs, his lows, his in betweens. He really does take us through his life, and we experience a lot of what we experience in everyday's life today: the bitterness, the tragedy, the sorrow, the joy, the praise, the worship, the adoration. And it's just packed full of so many things if we were ever to unpack it. But just now, I'm going to take us to Psalm 30. Let's just go through that together. I'm going to read from the NIV version. It says, "I will exalt you, Lord, for you lifted me out of the depths and did not let my enemies gloat over me. Lord my God, I called to you for help, and you healed me. You, Lord, brought me up from the realm of the dead. You spared me from going down to the pit. Sing the praises of the Lord, you his faithful people. Praise his holy name, for his anger lasts only a moment, but his favor lasts a lifetime. Weeping may stay for the night, but rejoicing comes in the morning. When I felt secure, I said, I will never be shaken. Lord, when you favored me, you made my royal mountain stand firm. But when you hid your face, I was dismayed. To you, Lord, I called. To the Lord I cried for mercy. What is gained if I am silenced, if I go down to the pit? Will the dust praise you? Will it proclaim your faithfulness? Hear, Lord, and be merciful to me. Lord, be my help. You turned my wailing into dancing. You removed my sackcloth and clothed me with joy, that my heart may sing your praises and not be silent. Lord my God, I will praise you forever." This is just a wonderful psalm. And again, David does this wonderful thing where he takes us through this range of emotions. We start off with him exalting God, because God has lifted him out of the depths. I mean, David has such an interesting life. I mean, colourful as well. And he says in verse 1, "You did not let my enemies gloat over me." David fought, so many wars. He was a great king. He had enemies all over. He was surrounded by them. And he recognizes that the Lord delivered him from all of those enemies, from all of those battles. And he says that he called to God for help, and God healed him. So again, we have this sense of he wasn't very well. It looks like physically he's just recovering from some bout of physical ill health. So he wasn't very well, and he called out to God, and God healed him. God brought him out from the realm of the dead. So it looks like he was really, really poorly. He was almost dying. And he says in verse 3 that God spared him from going down to the pit. Just what an amazing testimony that we can hold on to. No matter how sick we might get, we can always hold on to God and cry out to him for help. And we know that he has the power to deliver us. He has the power to heal us. He has the power to spare us from going down to the pit. And he says that, sing the praises of the Lord, you his faithful people. We are the faithful people of God. We should sing his praises. We should praise his holy name. For his anger lasts only a moment, but his favor lasts a lifetime. His anger lasts only a moment, because even when we're sinful, when we come to him and repent and we're truly sorry, he turns his anger away from us. Because he puts the anger on Christ on Calvary. That anger was nailed on Christ on Calvary. Christ took that punishment that we deserve. And so towards us who are called his children, his anger will only last a moment, but his favour will last a lifetime. And David is speaking here from experience, because David, throughout his life, he experienced the favour of God. And he says here, this is a really famous verse, it's part B of verse 5, "Weeping may stay for the night, but joy comes in the morning." And that is it's just rousing, because then you know that it says weeping may endure, And may means it may not. It's possible that it may last the night. It's possible that your season of weeping may be long. It's possible it may be short. It's possible you may not even be going through a season of weeping at the moment. But whenever that comes, remember that joy comes in the morning. Remember, it says here, it doesn't say that joy may come in the morning. No. David says here with certainty, weeping may stay for the night, but joy comes in the morning. It is certain that joy comes in the morning. As certain as Easter Sunday, as certain as that joyful news that we heard on the third day after the crucifixion, as certain as that Easter Sunday morning when they went there and the tomb was empty. That joy, as certain as that joy was on that morning, joy will come in the morning, because Christ has conquered everything. Christ has conquered evil, even death. Christ has conquered death. And so whatever pain, whatever weeping, whatever trial we're going through at the moment, it is but temporary. At best, or at most, it will last this lifetime. But when we rise again on that judgment day, when we rise again to see God, that glorious morning, when we rise again, joy will be ours. Joy will be ours. And whilst we're here on earth, it still says that weeping may endure for a night, but joy will come in the morning. And so your period of weeping is but temporary. Hang in there. God is with you. He has promised never to leave you nor forsake you. He says he will be with you every step of the way, and so he is with you. Even in your weeping, he is with you. And so rest assured in that knowledge that because he is with you, joy will come in the morning. As certain as the joy was on that Easter morning, joy will come in the morning. And when he comes again, when he descends on clouds, glorious clouds, and when he comes again to judge the living and the dead, our joy will be full then, for we shall gaze upon his glorious face when he comes back in judgment over sin. Joy will come in the morning. David says here, I felt secure. When I felt secure, I said, I will never be shaken. Lord, when you favored me, you made my royal mountain stand firm. But when you hid your face, I was dismayed. Here, David is speaking about he felt secured in his own achievement. And so when he was self-proclaiming all his achievements, he said, I felt secure, and I said, I will never be shaken. And a lot of us are like that. When things are going well, or when we feel like we have done things well, or when we feel like we've done things that we should be proud of, we almost kind of take all the praise and forget to give God praise and glory. And David soon finds out here the difference. He says when he was self-secure or self-sufficient, he was boasting and saying, I will never be shaken. But when God favored him, God made his royal mountain stand firm. Nothing will shake it. God's favor is over and above any accomplishment that we can do on our own. God's favor supersedes anything that we could ever boast or claim to have done on our own. And David here speaks of the contrast. He says, but when you hid your face from me, O God, I was dismayed. When God hid his face from David because of the sin, or the sin that he had not repented of, David soon felt the effect. He said he was dismayed. He said he cried out to God. He cried out for mercy. And he said to God, what will you gain if I'm silent? What will you gain if I'm dead? He said to God, hear me, Lord. Please be merciful for me, because if I die, who will praise you? Who will praise you? Will the dust rise up to praise you? And you know what? He called out to God, and God had mercy on him. He sang his heart out. He sang praises to God. And God had mercy on him. He says here that God turned his wailing to dancing. He says God removed his sackcloth and clothed him with joy. Not happiness, joy. Joy, there's a difference between joy and happiness. We might look into that another time. But joy is a deep-seated contentment. It is not the fleeting emotion that is happiness. Joy is deep-seated. It is a lot deeper than happiness. And he says here that the Lord clothed him with joy. How many of us long to be clothed with joy? How many of us long to just be clothed with the joy that comes from the Lord? David says in verse 12 that my heart will sing your praises and not be silent. And let me just close with that to be our challenge. Let us not be silent. For every mercy that God has shown us, for every anger that God has turned away from us, for every time we have received mercy instead of judgment when we know we deserve judgment, for every time when God has favored us when we know that what we really deserved should not even be thought upon, for every time that we acknowledge God's mercy, let us sing his praises. Let us sing it like David does. Let us sing it for the whole world to see. Let us shout it out to say, I was sick, but now I am well. God, you healed me. You brought me out from the pits of death. Let us sing out God's praises of his wondrous deeds at every single opportunity that we have. Let us say, God, on my own, I was boastful, I was self-confident, and I thought that I'd achieved the world. Yet, when you favored me, Lord, I conquered nations. Let us sing God's praises. Let us cry out to him for mercy. Let us be like David and say, God, if the worst should happen to me, who will sing your praises? Because I sing your praises from the rooftops for every single time you bring me out of danger, every single time you heal me, every single time you clothe me, every single time you feed me, every single time you deliver me, every single time you show me mercy instead of judgment. I will sing your praises. But Lord, if you should allow the worst to happen to me, who will sing your praises? Will the dust sing your praises like I do? Let us sing our praises to God. This is our challenge for us. Let us not be silent. Let our hearts forever praise the name of the Holy God for his wondrous deeds. And let us always remember that no matter what we're going through, weeping may endure for the night, but as surely as Easter morning, joy is on the way. As surely as Christ rose up from the dead, and the joy that came with that good news on that Easter morning, as surely as that morning, joy will come. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now. God bless you.